Welcome to episode 108 of the Epilogue Lady podcast. My name is Bente and I'm coming to you from Vesterålen, northern Norway, where I live with my husband, my oldest son and 3 cats. You can find me on Instagram as Arctic Crafts, on Facebook as Arctic Crafts by Bente, and on Ravelry as Arctic Crafts 65. There is also a group on Ravelry for this podcast where you can participate in make-alongs and the occasional giveaway. And I have a Ko-fi page where you can support me and the podcast. It's a rainy day today and I have to use artificial lighting for the first time this season. Not a big surprise, I was hoping to maybe postpone it a bit, but as you can tell, if you compare to the last time, the lighting looks different. But that's because I have a ring light behind the camera. First things first, this is apparently what 58 looks like. Happy birthday to me. I was going to do a giveaway for my birthday, and I am. Just hang on a little longer and I'll show you the price and tell you what to do to be eligible to win it. The celebration today is I had a brownie for breakfast and we're out for a fine dining later this evening. I have to go through my wardrobe to see what I have that's suitable for that, because I want to dress up a bit. I'm not wearing a full-length dress or anything, but I don't think I want to go in jeans and a t-shirt. Hubby is coming by to pick us up around 12 o'clock for lunch. So that's what's happening. We are not having cake because next weekend my youngest son is coming for a visit. So we are delaying the cake for next weekend, because he's the one in the family that loves cake the most. So we don't want to rob him of that. But I'm having dessert at the restaurant this evening. Really looking forward to testing this restaurant, because it's the restaurant in the new hotel. We have a new really good hotel that opened this spring, and we've been to the bar, we've been to one of the suites, not to stay but for a visit, and we haven't tried the restaurant yet, and it's supposedly fine dining. In my book that means tiny portions and you don't get enough to eat. We'll figure it out. Anyway, hubby said, I think half in jest, let's get a frozen pizza so we have something for tomorrow evening in case we get hungry. So I guess we're getting a frozen pizza today. So that's the plans for the birthday. Sorry about that. If the coffee is here, I drink coffee. I tried last time not to bring it with me, but I missed it too much. So I'm having coffee while I'm recording. Knitting. I'm wearing one of my rocket tees. It's not cold enough for a long-sleeved, knitted sweater, but knitted t-shirts work. So this is knitted in Arctic Crafts, Nebula and Purple Rain. So that's what I'm wearing. And that's of course not possible to get anymore unless you have a skein or two. I might dye up some Purple Rain for prizes or for a sweater for myself, because I really love the colorway. We'll see. So that's what I'm wearing. I have an FO that's been finished for some time, but it was a test knit, so I couldn't show it before now. And it's these socks. And they're so much fun. They're called The Truth Is Out There. The pattern doesn't show as well on mine as they do on the original, but if you check out the pattern page, you see Charlotte of Stone knits. She knit hers in black with neon green alien heads. So the truth is out there is an X-Files quote. Maybe they didn't think of it, come up with it, but I remember it from X-Files. And the yarn I've used is the green and blue one is from Mad Scientist Yarns, and I think it was a one of a kind. The grey is a commercial sock yarn. So that's my only FO. But I have been, my knitting mojo is sort of back. I have castanitis as well, but I'm working on a sweater for hubby, and that's a big project, and I want to finish that before I start something else. And what I'm going to start next, I think, when it comes to sweaters, is a striped sweater for myself in some yarn hubby got me. It's DK, so maybe it's too warm to wear as of now, but it's going to be wearable later. So I'm going to cast on that, I think, as soon as hubby's sweater is finished. But I might cast on a pair of socks later today. It's my birthday. If I want to cast on something new, I will. Not sure what to cast on, if it's self-striping or if I'm going to knit something patterned. I'm going to go through my library. I have several sock whips, but that doesn't help if I want to cast on something new. So at some point today I'm going to cast on a pair of socks. So maybe I should start by showing you the sweater I was talking about that I'm knitting for hubby. I finished one of the sleeves last night, and I didn't pick up for the second sleeve because it's much easier to show you the sweater if there is no yarn attached. So this is a big sweater. It's for my hubby, and he's almost 2 meters tall, so, and I had to knit the sleeves a bit longer than according to the pattern, but because my my stitch gauge is bang on, but my row gauge, you can tell, even though I knit the sleeves a bit longer, I just finished the decreases before I had to start the ribbing. It's a saddle shoulder. I've never done that before, but I think the sleeve looks amazing, and it really fits him nicely as well. So this construction, it was a bit fiddly, but that's mainly because I never did it before, I think. So I'm not going to pick up for the second sleeve right this minute because I have to focus. So I think I'm going to do it at some point this weekend, because it was a bit fiddly picking up the sleeves. But I'm not a big fan of picking up sleeves anyway. Necklines is okay, because then I'm not that fussy about not fussy, that didn't sound right. I'm not that particular about getting the right amount of stitches when I pick up for a neckline, because as long as it fits if it's a 2.2 rib, I have to have something that's divided by 4 and so on, but I don't count the stitches for a neckline. I just check that I have the same amount of stitches on both sides. So, but for the sleeves you have to have the exact amount of stitches. I was, because I knit the armholes a bit longer, it was real easy for me to pick up stitches, because I didn't have to, I just picked up, I think, every other. Because when I knit flat, I always slip the first stitch when I knit flat, and that means I have a really nice edge to pick up stitches from. I'll show you on the other sleeve. Let's see. You see, this is what my edge looks like. Let's just see if it can focus on that. I thought I had gotten a really good camera. Let's see. Come on, there. I just had to put my fingers in. You can tell here what my edge looks like. That's really easy to pick up stitches in. And because my armhole's a bit longer than it's supposed to be, I just picked up one stitch in each of those. And I just had to fiddle a bit to get the right amount of stitches. So that's the yarn. I should mention the yarn is Rauma Fivel, and it's a quite tight gauge, so it's dense, but I wanted it dense. The gauge has probably would be more suitable for a DK, the way I see it, but it's really dense. But I wanted that for hubby because he rarely wears a jacket. And if I knit this, it's 100% Norwegian wool, and this dense of a gauge, it's going to be almost windproof, if not bulletproof. But I can tell when I'm knitting it that it's sort of dense. So that's hubby's sweater, and I only have a sleeve left. And the ribbing in the neck. I'm thinking about, I'm not sure, because I never read the whole pattern. I just check the construction before I start a new project, but I never read the entire pattern. I'm not sure if there's a double folded ribbing in the neck or not on that sweater, but I'm thinking about doing it anyway. Because, but I'll check with hubby, of course. I tried to do a tubular bind off, by the way, on this, but I gave up. And let me tell you, it wasn't a tubular, it was an Italian bind off. But let me tell you, an Italian bind off is a nightmare to frog, because I had to pick. I've done this far with an Italian bind off, and I had to check the tutorial over and over again because I couldn't get my head around it, and it didn't look good. So I just undid it, and I cast off in the normal, in pattern, like I've always cast off sweaters. Let's get on with the whips. My next whip is in a Halloween bag. This bag is a gift from Narwhal's Creations, and she donated a lot of bags for prizes, and I still have stuff in my prize basket from her. So you will be getting, a lucky winner will be getting a Narwhal's Creations bag in the spooky mail as well. These are the, I should have had a sock blocker to show you this properly, but I'll just do it like this. These are the Puffle socks by my Yarny corner, and it's it was a fun pattern to knit. And because the stripes are narrow, you don't have to cut the yarn, so you don't have any extra ends to weave in, or you have a few extra ends because it's two colors, but it was a fun pattern to knit. It's one of those sock patterns that I really love because it's not complicated, but it's a little more interesting than just vanilla. So I really love knitting these. The yarns I've used are leftover River Rock from Rose Hill Yarns, and Spectacular written CK from my own shop, also a leftover. So that's those, the Puffle socks by my Yarny corner, and of course everything is linked down below as always. This is another whip, and this is in also in a Halloween bag by the Tangled Skein CA, my bestie Sue, crafting into 7, and it's the Salty Air socks by Kay Jones of the Bakery Bears. And again, this is one of those sock patterns. More interesting than a vanilla sock, but not complicated, and you memorize the pattern immediately. This is a Patreon exclusive, by the way. I think it was published in their Knitability magazine that they send out to all their patrons. This is how far I've gotten on the second sock. This is what I picked up last night when I finished the sleeve on Hubby's sweater. I picked up this sock. So I only have the foot left on this. And it's... I'm not entering it in my own spooky mal, but I am entering it in the Distant Stitches Spooky Feet mal. You can find the details if you check the Distant Stitches podcast or their Instagram, and then my Yarny Corner is also involved in that, so you can check out that. So that's what I'm doing with those. I already finished a pair of Halloween socks, but I showed you those last time. And then the last sock whip that I haven't knit a lot on. It's the unique sock yarn. Socks for Hubby, where I've started, where I knit these toe up to use all the yarn. And this is the second sock, and I passed the heel, so I put it on a 9-inch circular, and now it's just around and around until I run out of yarn. But that's been sort of hibernating. I'm going to knit on the Halloween stuff, because I'm calling this a Halloween sock. If Sue agrees, because I feel like these colors are Halloweeny. The yarn is Punk Rock Unicorn, by the way. I forgot to tell you that. The colorway is Dahlia, I think, but it's several years since I bought the yarn, so I'm not sure if they still have that colorway. So those actually are all my whips, even though I've been knitting, but that's because I've been knitting. If you remember 2 weeks ago when I showed you Hubby's sweater, I was on the shoulder. I just finished the shoulder panel, or what you might call it. So I've been working on that almost exclusively, and a bit on the socks. And I've been spinning. I need more coffee. And I think I'm going to have another piece of that brownie when I finish recording. Okay, so brownies aren't good for me, but it's my birthday. I can do what I want. And I think before I do anything else, because I have some stuff to show you in show and tell, but before I do that, I'm going to show you the prize for the giveaway. As I told you, I was going to give away a finished knit, and this is it. It's long. I think I have to stand up to show you properly. This is a wrap. It's by Lisa Hannes, I'm not sure. I'm going to link the pattern down below. And it's called Festival of Stitches. It was a really, really fun project. I've never worn it. And it's been in a bin. And it's too beautiful not to be worn. So I decided to give it away for my birthday. The yarns are... the pink one is from Beehive Yarns. And the grey and the white are an alpaca blend, but I've forgotten the brand. I'm sorry, but I'm sure it's an alpaca blend. I didn't write down the yarn I used for the white and the grey. I wrote down the pink, maybe because that was a hand-dyed, I'm not sure, but the white and the grey. But you can tell that it's this alpaca and this. And I'm telling you this because some people I know are allergic to alpaca. So don't enter the giveaway if you're allergic to alpaca. I'm 99% sure there's alpaca in this. I was thinking about doing this giveaway on Instagram, Ravelry, even Facebook, because the last time I did a giveaway on YouTube, the winner never contacted me. And I don't want to go through that again. But I figured YouTube is the best place to do the giveaway anyway. So I'm asking you, please, if you enter the giveaway, watch my next episode, so you find out if you won or not. Because the thing about YouTube is I don't have the contact information for people entering the giveaway. That's the only problem using YouTube for giveaways. So please check my next episode if you enter the giveaway. And because I'm a bit self-centered, the prompt is, wish me a happy birthday. In the comments below. Feel free to write something else in the comments as well, of course. But if you wish me a happy birthday in the comments below, you're in with the chance to win this. So that's the giveaway. And then we're going to check out some show and tell. I haven't. I can show you my spinning first. I think I'm getting better. I'm going to show you skeins 1, 2, and 3. This is the first skein I soaked and skeined up. This is what that looks like. This is the second one. And this is the latest one. And it's starting to look a bit better. It's a bit, maybe too much twist in these. But I'm going to use my yarn as singles. And I'm afraid it's going to break if I have too little twist in them. I've already started with the birthday fibers I got from Sue. She sent me 150 grams of fiber. And I've already started on it, because I was thinking about waiting until I was better at it. But then again, she probably sent me that fiber so I could have fun with it, and that's what I'm doing. I'm spinning it. I didn't want to take the bobbin off the wheel to show it to you, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to be finished with it by next episode. So I'm going to show it to you then. And another thing, I should have mentioned this up front probably, because not all people watch the entire episode, but I'm doing a de-stash. Not sure when, but I'm doing a de-stash because I have lots of beautiful yarn in my stash that I know that I'm never going to use. So I'm going to do a de-stash on Instagram. And I'm going to tell you up front that I'm going to accept spinning fiber as a payment, as a swap, if you will, for some of the yarn, because I've been bitten by the spinning bug, and I haven't. When I've spun up the fiber I got from Sue, I'm all out. I have to dye up some more fiber myself. In that case, I really enjoyed spinning the variegated from Sweet Skein of Mine, so I'll try to dye up some variegated for my own use. But I checked online and I found a really promising Norwegian fiber shop that sell their own hand-dyed spinning fibers, and I really loved their stuff. They had a ton of different fiber blends. They had bats, they had braids, but when I was sitting there desperately wanting to buy some fibers, of course their shop is closed this weekend because they're vending at a festival, so I have to wait until Tuesday to order some. I also found some hedgehog Lucky Dip fiber in a Norwegian web store, but it was crazy expensive. And the Norwegian place also had Lucky Dip, bags, and a totally different price. So I'm going to try their Lucky Dip bags. I'm also going to buy some fiber. I'm going to try a bats. I want to try bats. So that's the D-stash. I'm a bit all over the place today, but you're used to that by now, hopefully. And then we're going to look at stuff I've gotten in the mail. One thing I've gotten in the mail is this book, Embroidery on Knitting. I wanted to try this. Some of it looks really complicated, but I wanted to try embroidery on some of my sweaters, and I want to one of these techniques I really loved was something you do on the wrong side, or on the purl, if you have a sweater that's... I was thinking about doing this to my Weekender by Andrea Mowry. Let's see if I can find it. This technique. I wanted to try this on my Weekender. I think this could be garter stitch and not purling, but I'll try it out, because I never wear my Weekender, even though it's made with Roots and Rain. I think it's Roots and Rain yarn. It's either that or Rains or Roots or something. I think it's Roots and Rain. I got it from Sue. It's really beautiful. The color is beautiful, but I never wear my Weekender because I don't like the neckline. But I'm thinking, I was thinking about trying to do something to the neckline. But now I also want to try to embroider on it. So maybe that will give me the excuse to try to do something about the neckline. I know she just published a crew neck Weekender. And unfortunately, I can't copy that neckline to my Weekender because it's not knitted. If it was the type of sweater that you knitted the neckline on afterwards, I could have tried to done something. But this is... I was thinking about trying to fold the neckline down on the wrong side and do some stitches just so I could fold it down. I'm going to try that, I think. That was a tangent. I was going to show you stuff I got in the mail. I also bought some yarn. A friend of mine, my Norwegian bestie, Trine, went to a yarn store and she saw some yarn that she thought that Bente is going to love that yarn. And she sent me a picture, and it was this yarn. And it's Dale. And the yarn is called Multi-Popcorn, as you can tell. It's got loads of different fibers. It's you can tell because it's written in English for some reason. I'll just hold it still so you can see the fiber content. And because it's only 12% mohair, it isn't scratchy, because mohair feels scratchy to me. And I wasn't sure if I wanted to hold this with something else. I wanted to knit it on its own, so I've actually done a swatch. And this is what my swatch looks like. At the bottom, I've held it with some undyed merino. And this is, I think, 5mm needle. And this is a 4mm needle. You can't really tell the difference. But if I want to knit a sweater with only this yarn, I have to knit it on a rather tight gauge. So I'll probably end up holding it with some merino, and I think I want to use the undyed because I like this color so much, and I don't want to ruin the color by holding it with something else. I could try, but I have enough of the undyed merino in my stash to knit a sweater with this. It's going to be a really warm sweater though. And not sure about the pattern, but I might just do yet another no frills. I already have a pink no frills knit in merino and mohair, or I used Surrey alpaca for that one, I think. But I have a sweater's quantity of this, maybe more than a sweater's quantity, so I might do a giveaway for the leftovers if it's enough for a sweater, because I might have bought more yarn than I need. I tend to do that. I have enough for a sweater left of the Brooklyn tweed shelter, and that's annoying when yarn is expensive, that you buy too much of it. And I'm thinking about doing a vest for myself of the leftover Brooklyn tweed shelter, because that's a practical garment to use in winter. I think it's often enough just wearing a vest. So I'm going to check out, and I'm going to look for a slipover, not an open vest but a slipover. And I have a pattern by Petite Knit that I really love knitting. It's a V-neck slipover, and the first one I knit in merino and alpaca held together, and I think that means I can use a worsted, especially kind of a light worsted, for the same pattern. So I'm going to check that. I'll probably have more yarn left because it's almost a sweater quantity what I have left. But again, the Felix pullover doesn't use a lot of yarn. I remember that from knitting the other Felix. So I've knit, this was my second Felix pullover, and I've knit 2 Felix cardigans because I love that pattern. And then I have one more thing to show you that I got in the mail, and I got this only 2 days ago, because I found this Norwegian hand dyer called Unique Garn. That's Norwegian for unique yarn. It's that simple. And she had this yarn club, and because it's Norwegian, a Norwegian yarn shop, it wasn't. It's not as cheap as commercial yarn, but it's much cheaper for me than buying hand-dyed yarn from abroad. So this is the first installment, and I really love this. Look at all those beautiful colors. I'm going to take off the yarn band so I can show you properly. Look at all those beautiful colors. This is, I think this is kind of a spring. It gives me spring vibes. So I might put this aside and knit something for spring. It's going to be socks. And this is what the yarn band looks like, by the way. And I have good news for you. Unique Garn ships to North America and Europe. So I'm going to link to their web store down below. And if you go to the top right hand corner of their website, you can choose English as your language, and then everything gets translated into English to make it easier for you if you don't understand Norwegian, and I think 90% of my viewers don't. So top right hand corner, choose English, and then everything is translated for you. So, and they ship to North America and Europe, and she has lots of beautiful yarn. And no, I'm not sponsored or anything. I just love the yarn, and I was thinking about ordering a sweater quantity, but I'm waiting for because I'm subscribed to her yarn club. I don't want to buy a sweater quantity yet, and I know I'm going to buy several, maybe at least 2 sweater quantities at Unravel in February, and I have several sweater quantities. So now I'm buying single skeins again, and I shouldn't record you. I mentioned the stash. But what I can say is that if a skein arrives with colors that I don't love, slash not in my wheelhouse, it ends up in the prize bin, so it's not a waste anyway, because I'm then going to give it out as prizes. So some of you might get some unique garn anyway, but this one is for me, because I really love the colors. And I had that at the back of my head because yarn clubs can be sort of scary, because you never know what you're gonna get. But because I always need prizes for my make-alongs, I figured if I get something I don't love, I'll just use it as prizes. So that's what I'm planning on doing with this yarn club. So that's what I gotten in the mail. I don't think I have gotten anything. When it comes to live stuff, the next thing I'm talking about has something to do about live stuff and a bit to do about the channel, because I have been talking about doing Blogtober. I've decided against it. I'm so sorry if any of you were looking forward to me doing Blogtober. I decided against it, and there's a couple of reasons for that. One being that it's difficult for me to do any recording during the day, because my oldest son lives here now and he hasn't got a job yet, so he's home with me during the days. It's really nice having him here, but he really doesn't want to be on camera. That means I have to sit here in the bedroom to talk to you on camera, and I can only record stuff when he's out of the house, or if I do something in the kitchen, or if I go for a walk, and it would be a nightmare figuring out what I can and cannot record. Second thing, my youngest son is coming for a surprise visit next weekend, so I don't want to. So that makes it difficult for me to record those days, because I don't see him that often and I want to give him my full attention when he's here. And then I'm going into the hospital for surgery at the end of the month. So I would have to stop doing Blogtober at the, I think, 25th. And then sort of, because I'm not sure what I'm going to feel like after the surgery. I'm not sure what to call this in English, but I would call it day surgery, because I'm going in there in the morning, I have my surgery, and then they send me home. And then hubby has to take leave of absence the next day to keep me company, because I can't be alone the same day as the surgery and the day after. It's in the consent form I had to sign before the operation. Nothing serious, by the way. I just need some surgery. And that's at the end of the month. Probably, hopefully, things have changed a bit before December comes along, because I really want to do Vlogmas. It's almost become a tradition. Worst case scenario, I record me opening my advents, and I do a quick chat with you in the mornings. Maybe in here, maybe in the living room, if my son hasn't gotten up yet when I record. So Vlogmas might be a bit light on content this year, but I am going to do Vlogmas. So that's the sort of bad news about Vlogtober. It's not bad news as such for me, because I get less work during October, and I get more time to do other stuff. But Vlogmas, I need to do Vlogmas, because that's sort of a tradition. And now I'm going to stop babbling. I'll just remind you that if you wish me a happy birthday in the comment section below, you stand the chance to win this Festival of Stitches wrap knit by me. And I hope you have a really nice weekend. and I'll see you again in 2 weeks. Bye bye.